Hey, what's up, guys? It's me, Levins here, and I am here to talk to you guys about some writing. And the writing that we're going to be starting with is opinion, but today we're really just going to take some time to kind of get to know the whole process and the three main types of writing we'll be working on today. So, your job is to be able to use resources to guide your learning. All right, go ahead and hit pause right now and take out your handy pages. They look like this. All right, go ahead and hit pause. I'll wait here. Okay, hopefully you paused and grabbed your handy pages because this is exactly the resource that you're going to be using to learn about writing, right? And it's going to be very handy, which is why they call it the handy pages. All right, so now that you've paused, we can go ahead and go on. In section 1, so when you first open up your handy pages, you will see just some ways that you can use writing to improve your reading. So these are really great strategies for you to use. Like one example is marking up your text. So I know that in books that you borrow from school, you can't necessarily do this. However, these things are magical. They're called sticky notes. I don't know who invented them, but they're brilliant. And since you can't mark up school books or library books, you can always use some of these to mark up your text. So you could jot some little notes on your sticky notes and then stick them in there. Yeah, that's a really great strategy. It also talks about how active readers take notes. They talk about 3-column notes. Go ahead and use these things. Next time you sit down to read your book, it makes reading way more fun, and you get to know your characters and the story a lot better, so then it helps you understand it. There's also some tips for how you can summarize. Active readers are able to really think about what they're doing, summarize it, and then move on. Oh, it's a me, a Mario. You want to be, oh, you can't see it. Hold on, let me move my camera. There you go. If you want to be a better reader, section 1 has great advice. And even my friend Mario agrees. All right. Here's what we're really talking about, though. Why? Why? Okay? When you're writing, it's really important to know why you're writing. What are you writing? Why? And for who? Right? The who is your audience. So you want to think about your task. What are you writing for this assignment? Are you writing a paragraph? Are you writing an essay? Are you making a report? Are you creating a presentation? What's your purpose, right? And then your audience. Who are you writing it for? Are you writing it to your classmates? Are you writing it to your baby brother? Are you writing it to your parents, to your teacher, to the President of the United States? Okay? And why are you writing that? Right? What is it that you are trying to get out of that? So in this case, we're going to be talking about opinion, right? And opinion is all about arguing. Sorry, parents, plug your ears. But arguing is really what an opinion is all about. You're saying how you feel about something, and then you're being able to give reasons, okay? That's a really hard person to argue against, first of all, is when somebody is prepared for the argument and they know why they feel the way they feel and can give facts or details to back it up. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about the writing process. So if you open up your handy pages to page 5, you will see what I'm about to present right here on my screen. The writing process consists of 8 steps, but 3 of these steps are constantly repeated. Good writers are always repeating this step because that's how we get better at what we do. See if you can figure out what those 3 steps are. Okay, the first one is to pre-write, and the second one is to plan. These 2 are really you're gathering your ideas. So for example, if you're talking about an opinion and why you feel the way you feel, for example, maybe you want to argue about cell phones. Maybe you're trying to convince your parents to get you a cell phone, and they're like, nope, nope, nope. Come up with a plan, right? Brainstorm some ideas and come up with a plan. Get yourself organized so that way you can present it to them in a well laid out manner, because that makes you seem more mature, more professional, and it makes you a better writer. Okay, so pre-writing, you brainstorm, you discuss, you talk to your friends. Maybe your friend has a phone and you say, well, why did you get a phone? Right? Do your own research there. And then plan. Put it into an outline or a set of sketches so that way you have an idea of where you're going next. Then we have draft, revise, and edit. The draft, revise, and edit, as you can see, has these arrows pointing in a circle. Okay, this is the part that happens over and over and over. Okay, you write a draft, you revise it. The revise is where you just reread it and you say, oh, this sentence would make more sense in paragraph 2. This sentence would make more sense in paragraph 3. But you're really just organizing your stuff to get yourself set up to really present your argument in a fluid way that makes sense to your reader. Because remember, that's who we're doing it for. If we went back to that last slide, we're always thinking about who we're writing for and what our point is. And then edit, right? Fixing those spelling mistakes, fixing capitalization mistakes, fixing all of those mistakes to help craft this beautiful piece of writing. Okay? And like I said, this happens over and over because you might draft something, rearrange it, make it make more sense, and then edit it, fix all of your mistakes, and then you'll go back again, look at it, redraft, write a new draft, edit, revise. This process we do a couple times, but writers, like actual writers who write things like books, maybe you have one, if you've seen one, I don't know. But people who write books, this process can take a long time, sometimes years, because they write their story and then they give it to their friend or their editor and say, hey, will you read this and give me some feedback? Their friend reads their story, gives it back and says, yeah, but you didn't put any periods, so I don't know where your sentences are. That happens all the time, even to adults. Okay, this isn't like a kid thing. Adults do that kind of stuff all the time, okay? But this process takes a long time. This is where you come up with your beautiful piece of work. And then finally, you write your final copy, you give it a final proofread, right? So you read through it just one more time. You're like, oh my goodness, Levins, how many times I gotta read this paper? A lot. The more times that you read it, the more sense it's going to make sense to someone else, because the more times you read it, the more mistakes you catch, the more you can perfect those lines and move those words around and make the best paper you can. You proofread, and then you can share and publish it. There's lots of ways that you can share and publish it. Feel free to hit me up, dietrichk@woodlandschools.org, if you have any questions. Woo! There I am, in my paper airplane. All right. So the next thing we're going to talk about are the 3 types of writing. So if you open up to pages 10 and 11 in your handy pages, you will see the page that looks basically just like this. In fact, I just took a picture of it and stuck it in my slide. Okay? These are our 3 types of writing. We have informative and explanatory, opinion, and narrative. Okay? They put, in my opinion, see, this is my opinion. I'm going to support it right here with some details. In my opinion, they put these 2 on the same page because they are the most similar. So if you really look, they both have a topic sentence, they both have a title, they both have elaboration and details, and they both have key star ideas with a conclusion, right? If you look over at narrative, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. So in my opinion, I think they put these 2 on the same page because they are the most alike. So let's take a look real quick at the life cycle of bees. This is the informative one. Okay? Informative writing or explanatory writing gives information or explains an idea. Okay? This one's called the life cycle of bees. That's our title. Here's our topic sentence. All honeybees go through the same life cycle. This tells me that I'm going to be learning about honeybees and probably their life cycle. Let's read to find out. The 4 stages are egg, larva, pupa, and adult. Okay? That sounds like a life cycle to me, the 4 stages of their life cycle. In the first stage, every bee starts out as an egg laid by the hive's only queen. She puts each egg in a tiny wax cell, and the egg starts to change there. In the second stage, the egg hatches into a larva. A bee larva looks like a small white worm with a hungry mouth. Ugh, that gives me the creeps. Worker bees feed the larva, and it grows quickly. Once a larva is full size, worker bees close up the cell with wax. In the third stage, the larva becomes a pupa. It spins a cocoon around itself and changes from white to the colors of an adult bee. Becoming an adult bee is the 4th and final stage. The bee chews its way out of the cell and stretches its wings. That sounds like a terrible first meal to me, but I won't judge. Now it's ready to be busy as a bee. In total, it takes 16 to 24 days to grow from an egg to adult. Bees have many different jobs in the hive, but they all grow up in the same way. So as I read through that, I was hearing all about what it's like to grow up as a bee, especially as the early life cycle of a bee, right? So as I read through it, they stayed focused on the bee's life cycle. They didn't start to talk about how they collect honey. They didn't start to talk about how they dance or how they fly around in like super unorganizingly seemingly patterns, right? They didn't talk about anything like that. They stayed focused on the bee's life cycle, okay? You're not here to learn about bees, really. You're here to learn about informational writing. So what I really want you to take away from this is that they used a topic sentence to focus their writing. They wrote about it and explained it using details and elaboration in the body, and then they tied it up with a conclusion that relates back to the topic sentence. So it says, all honeybees go through the same life cycle. I'm going to skip ahead to my conclusion, and it says, bees have many different jobs in the hive, but they all grow up in the same way. Okay, so they compared growing up to the life cycle. Those are almost like synonyms in a bee world. Okay, so this is informational writing. Next, let's look at narrative writing. Okay? Narrative tells a true or a fictional story. The following example is an example of imaginative narrative writing. So this person really used their imagination to come up with this piece of writing. Why do bees do the waggle dance? Once upon a time, honeybees stayed busy, but they were pretty confused. They flew in all directions, searching for flowers. Searching for flowers. A worker bee might find a good garden full of blossoms, but she had no way to tell the others where to find them. Then along came Polly. She was a happy bee. She worked hard. She also liked to laugh and tell jokes. Bees tell jokes? Oh, I'm sorry. What did the boss bee say to the naughty bee? Polly asked. Behave yourself. The other bees tried not to laugh. Polly also liked to dance with her friend. She wiggled and she waggled when she returned from the field. The queen noticed something about Polly and her friends. They always came back with the most nectar and pollen. The boss bee did not like Polly's behavior. Knock it off, she buzzed. One day, Polly hung her antenna and stopped dancing. After that, she and her friends did not find as many flowers. One day, the queen called Polly to her chamber. When you do that dance, you're telling the other bees where to find flowers, aren't you? Polly nodded. Show me, the queen said. Polly danced in one direction. Then she danced a figure eight. That tells them what direction and how far the best blossoms are. Oh, sorry, wrong voice. That tells them what direction and how far the blossoms are, the queen said. The queen turned to the boss bee. Have Polly teach this dance to all the bees in the hive. And that is why the bees do the waggle dance. This is narrative. It's imaginative. It could be true. Bees could fly in a certain pattern, right, to teach each other where to find the best pollen or the best flowers or the best blossoms, as they said. But this is really make-believe because these bees are like having a full-on conversation in English. And maybe bees do talk to each other or to themselves. Who knows? I talk to myself all the time. But chances are they're probably communicating in some other way other than English, which is what we see here. And I don't know that if they speak English, but maybe. Anyway, this is a made-up narrative story. Next one we will talk about is opinion writing. Okay, and as I said with opinion writing, it's expressing how somebody thinks or how they feel, right? And then they're going to argue. And when I say argue, you probably think like, I'm going to argue with you. I'm so mad. I want to prove my point. But arguing isn't always like that. You can argue with someone respectfully, right? You can gather your information. You can gather your evidence. You can gather your thoughts, get yourself organized, and you can have a very respectful discussion or a very respectful argument. In this case, this person says, save the honeybees, okay? My title should kind of indicate what I'm going to be reading about. When I open up this and I start to read it, I shouldn't be reading about honey badgers or bananas or monkeys or Dixon Ticonderoga No. 2 pencils and how they're the best, right? I should be reading about honeybees and why we should save them. We need honeybees and now they need our help. Okay, so far everything's related. And this person really thinks that honeybees need our help and that we need honeybees. We must find out why these important insects are disappearing. Ooh, sounds like a problem. First of all, we need honeybees because they play a big role in our food supply. Okay, that sounds like a reason. Yes, they make delicious honey, but they also carry pollen to flowers of fruits, nuts, and vegetables. That's a pretty good reason. I like fruit, I like nuts, and I like vegetables. So if honeybees are what I make it, if honeybees are what make it so I can eat that, then I'm all about it. Most plants need pollen on their flowers so that the flowers can turn into the many of the foods we eat. Now, honeybees need our help. A mysterious illness called colony collapse disorder, CCD, is wiping out beehives. So we must find out why these important insects are disappearing. Some scientists say a disease is responsible. Also, the pesticides that farmers spread on plants may be to blame. Clearly, we must find out why honeybees are disappearing. Scientists need to do more research. When honeybees are gone, it will be too late. Okay, so this person really had 2 points. First, that honeybees are important, and second, that we should save them. Go ahead and look back through there and see if you can figure out. Feel free to pause the video if you want to. Feel free if you can figure out which details they included to say, okay, this honeybee, or this is why we need honeybees, and this is why they're disappearing. See if you can figure that out on your own. Those are our 3 types of writing. In your slides today, you are going to be talking about which type of writing is your favorite. Okay, which one do you prefer to write? Do you like opinion? Do you like to create reports, like explain things and write nonfiction, like facts? Or do you like narrative stories where you can just make up this beautiful world with all of the great details that you love and not have to worry about facts and research? I'm curious to find out. So go ahead, you can stop this video now and go work on your slides. I'm proud of you. Go get it. I'm excited to see what you write about.